Hi, I'm Ben, and this is Programming for Absolute Beginners and the Computer Illiterate. Last time we talked about the introduction to programming, and we talked about input and output. And this time we're going to talk about Booleans and if statements. So if you've been following along so far, you're going to have this Hello World program, helloworld.html file on your desktop. So first thing we're going to do is we'll need to start Notepad, open Notepad, go to File, Open, Desktop, and make sure to change this to all files so we can see all the files. Hello World, and this will be the program that we wrote last time, and we'll open this up in the browser, and this way I can show you both of them at the same time. Okay, the first thing we're going to do today is I'd like to mention that last time we used this sort of thing for output. So I'll save, refresh, which pops up a little block there. But then we click OK, it's gone. So the first thing we'll do today is I'll show you an alternative to displaying text. Document.write test text, and file, save, refresh. There's test text, just written right there on the actual page instead of in a little box. So there's no OK button to click, so it can just stay there and you can see what we've been working on. Now this code is actually, document is an object that refers to the whole page. And .write is a function that operates on the document in order to write the parameter text onto the page. This is a little more complicated than we're going to go into right now. So all you got to know is this is how we can just write text straight to the page. So first thing we'll talk about is Boolean. So what's a Boolean? A Boolean is an alternative type. So this was how to define a number, a variable, and assign a number to a variable. So this is 12, which is a number. And we can do the same thing. String var equals some text. And this is assigning some text to a new variable called string var. There's another kind of type called a Boolean. Equals true. So a Boolean is either true or false. So it can either be true or it can be false. That's the only two options there are for a Boolean. So we'll assign this one true. Sometimes you'll see them just called bool as well. So some things that you can do with a Boolean is it has some special operators, like instead of a plus or a multiply, it's actually got some special operators that result in a Boolean, like the equal operator, not equal operator, less than equals to, greater than, and greater than equals to. Now, some important things to note is that this is a double equal sign, which is a conditional operator, instead of a single equal sign, which is an assignment operator. So this doesn't do anything, just hang out right there, so delete that. So what we can do with these is, let's make a new bar result equals, make it just whatever. What we can do is have bool var equals, we're going to assign the result of this operation, and we'll do number var, which has the value of 12, equal sign, equal to 12. So this will result in true because number var here is equal to 12, which is here. So this results in true here. And we can try to write that out to the text, to the page. Go to File, Save, Fresh, True. Now, if this were not true, let's say not equal to, so number is not equal to 12, which is false because number is equal to 12. So the bool var is going to be false. Now, when you try to write out false, it's going to return false. There we go. So anytime you have an equation with one of the equality operators like not equal to or less than, it's going to result in a Boolean that you can then assign to a variable and see if this is true or false. Okay. Now that we've got a Boolean, what does that do for us since we can only check if something is true or false? Well, there's a thing called an if statement. If bool var do this, tab, result equals is true. So this is an if statement with a block of code after it. What happens here is if the thing in between the parentheses is true, if whatever this is, whether it's an operation or an actual Boolean variable, if it's true, it'll run this code. Now the reason we indented this with a tab is it just makes it easier to read, because a lot of time in code there's a lot of these guys and things get really compressed if everything is just straight down the side. It gets a little bit confusing. So you can either use a tab like I did or use a single space. Most people use a double space, 4 spaces, or a tab. I use tabs because it's one keystroke and you get a lot of space there. Doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. There's a lot of discussion about this all over the place, and it really doesn't matter as long as you stay consistent. Anyway, so this if is going to check, is bool var equal to true? Is this true? And if it is true, then it's going to do this. So it's going to change result from an empty string. Let's start this one with initial. So this is the initial value of result. It's going to change result to is true if bool var is true. And then we'll write out result. File, save. Let's see what happens here. Initial. So we're writing the result, which is initial. And because bool var is false, because 12, which is the value that's in number var, is not less than 12, it is equal to 12. That's false. So false goes into bool var, which gets checked here. And since this is false, it does not do this right here. So we can either change this to 11. So, or I guess this needs to be 13. 13. Number var, which is 12, is less than 13. So this will be true. So if bool var is true, refresh. Well, file, save. I'm just hitting Control S to save. And we'll do refresh. And is true, because that's where we set the result to is true inside this if block. To make things not easier, but with less code, we usually don't need to compare to create the Boolean before the if statement. I'll just show you an example of what I'm trying to talk about. So let's erase this. So number var, we can put that comparison operation right here. So number var equals 12. This will get computed first. Then if will check if the thing in here is true. If the result of this operation is true, it's going to do what's in here, which is result is true. We'll do save it and refresh. is true. What if we change this to greater than? So number var is still 12. So 12 is greater than 12. No, that's false. So this is going to be calculated as false. If false is true, which is not, false is not true. So if this is false, it's not going to do this at all. So we'll save, file save, and refresh, and we get initial because we didn't change this at all. But what if we wanted to change it to something else? If var is not, if number var is not, if this is not true, we could do something else like this. Number var is equal to 12, and change this to equals is 12, and save that and refresh, and is 12, because this is false, so it does not do this. But number var is equal to 12, so it does do this, and we print out the result. The problem with this is we'd have to have an if for every case that is not true. So there's a better option here. Do else result equals is false, and in curly bracket. So what this does is if number var is greater than 12, the result is true. If not, otherwise, so if else, it's going to fall through and do this part, which the result is false. So we'll save that and refresh. Is false. So the other option is, what if we wanted to have another check in here? We can also do an else if number var is greater than 12, is less than 12. Do this. Result equals less than. Okay. So we'll refresh, and it still is false because number var, which is 12, is not greater than 12, not less than 12, so that falls through. Let's change this to equals to 12. If it equals to 12, so this is going to be true now. Change this just to, this is going to be true now because number var, which is 12, is equal to 12. So save that and refresh. Equal. That's because this is false. So then it goes and checks, okay, that's false. Let's check this part. Is that true? Yes, it is true. So we're going to do this. And then we're just going to exit straight out of this whole thing. So to illustrate that, I'll do result equals result plus the end. And save it. Refresh. So this goes, this is false, so it does not do this. Else if it is equal to 12, it does do this, and then skips right through, ignoring this else block, because one of the things above here is true. It ignores this, goes to the end, adds the end onto the result, and returns the result. So a thing to remember is that it only does the first thing that is true. So all of these could be true. So we could have something like, if number var is less than 20, and number var equals 12. So both of these things are true because 12 is less than 20. 12 is also equal to 12. But it's only going to do this one because this only gets performed if the one above it is false, which it's not. Save, refresh, less than the end. So we have result less than. That's the end of it. This is true, so it skips on to the end. And you can chain many of these together. I just copy and pasted here. And we can just do less than 400. And all of these things are going to be true, but it's only going to do the first one that it catches. So save, refresh, and it's still the same one. So let's do if it's greater. And we'll save that. So what this is going to check is var greater than 20. No, it's not. It's going to ignore this. Else, if it's equal to 12, is this equal to 12? Yes. So it'll do this, and it will skip the rest of these two blocks and continue on to the end. So we'll save this, refresh. There we go, equal. That's the only one it did. So now, what can we do with this? Well, we can do a lot with this. So let's erase all of this, and let's get some input from the user. We'll do var ages string equals prompt, what is your age? And then if you remember from our last time, we need to change this into a number. So age is number equals number, age is string. And that changes the age into the number. Now say we want to see if you are allowed to, get the child's ticket price, which is less than 12. So if, let's define our result here, equals, price. So we can do if age is number is less than or equal to 12. We'll do result plus result equals result plus. Let's say that the child's ticket price is $5. So this will tell us if the age is less than or equal to 12, the ticket price is going to be $5. Okay, so what about the senior discount? Else if age is number is greater than or equal to 65, result equals result plus. Seniors are going to get $8 tickets. All right, so if you're not going to get the child's ticket and you're not going to get the senior ticket, we have to have an else case. The result equals result plus $20 because things are really expensive. Okay, so we'll save this. Now what's going to happen is it's going to ask what is the age, put it in the string variable, change the string into a number and put that in age as a number. We're going to start off by initializing the result variable with this piece of text at the beginning. Then we're going to check. We're going to go through our checks. Is the age less than or equal to 12? Well, if it is, then it's going to add $5 to the end of this text here. Okay, then it's going to say if the age is not less than or equal to 12, so if they're older than 12, let's keep checking. They're older than 12 and they're older or equal to 65, we're going to change the result. We're going to add $8 on the end. Then, if they're not less than or equal to 12 and they're not greater than or equal to 65, the result will just be 20 because this is the default case. Let's do save and refresh. Here's our prompt. Let's see, I'm 34, so we'll do age is 34. Okay, your ticket price is $20 because I'm not a child and I'm not a senior. So my ticket price is $20. Well, let's refresh again. Let's buy one for my grandpa, who is 80. Okay, your ticket price is $8 because, yep, he's older than 12, but he's also older than 65. So his price is $8. And then this last part just gets skipped. Okay. How about my niece, who is almost 4? Okay. Ticket price is $5 because, yes, her age is less than or equal to 12. So the ticket price is $5. And then it just ignores all of this. So that's one of the many things you can do with an if statement. There's a lot more to come later. You can also compare things other than numbers. You can compare actual text. So let's check your name. Okay, so if our result equals your name is, so let's get our name equals prompt. What is your name? Oh, let's change this. Your job. Okay, so we'll check. If your name is equal to then name equals name plus, oh, let's just change this. Your name is, okay, result equals result plus programmer. Otherwise, result plus then a programmer. And so we're going to type in our name, and if your name is Ben, then you're a programmer. Otherwise, there's something awesomer than a programmer. So let's see if this works. Save, refresh. What is your name? Ben. Okay. I'm a programmer, so that's right. Let's try again. What if your name is Jane? Okay. Your job is something awesomer than a programmer. Okay, that makes sense. Now, the thing about the equality operator when we're talking about strings is it's not very forgiving. For example, what is your name? Ben, but I forgot to change this to an uppercase, so it's all lowercase. Your job is something awesomer than a programmer because this Ben has a capital B, but I entered it with a lowercase b. So there's a few different things we can do to solve this. One of the things is similar to the fact that document, which is this page, has a function called write on it. Strings have a function called to lower. I think it's to lower. And then we'll change this to a B. Save. So now, this might be lowercase. We'll have to see what happens. We'll refresh. What is your name? My name is Ben, all caps. Your job is programmer. Because before we did the check, we converted the name to all lowercase and then compared it to lowercase Ben. Okay, so let's try it again. If your name is Ben, all lowercase, still a programmer. If it's got some kind of weird case, still a programmer. But Jane is still something awesomer than a programmer. So strings, numbers, all of these different objects have a lot of different fun little functions that are very useful that are attached to them, which you can look them up online, but some of them are really useful. A more advanced technique is, what if we just wanted to check if your name is Ben or if your name is Jane? So we could copy this, put an else, if, change this to Jane, save. So this will work fine. Your name is Ben. You're a programmer. Your name is Jane. You're also a programmer. Fresh. If your name is Calvin, okay, something awesomer than a programmer. But here we have a problem that we are repeating code. And the whole point of programming is to not have to repeat things so much. So what we can do, instead of having this whole extra else block, we can copy just this little part here. And we'll erase this here. And we'll use this magical operator and put this on the end. So this is two pipes. A pipe is the character that is when you hit shift and backspace. So this is a backspace. So shift and backspace, you get a pipe, which is a vertical line. It's called a pipe. It's usually the key right below the backspace and right above the enter on an American standard keyboard layout. So here we have two pipes, and two pipes, this means OR. So if name is Ben, if this is false, it'll keep going. So if your name is Ben, or if your name is Jane, if either one of those is true, then it's going to return programmer. Let's see if that works. Fresh. So my name is Ben. Okay, so this first part is true. So then it's going to ignore all this other part on the end and skip right to results is equal to programmer. All right, fresh. Name is Jane. Okay, your job is programmer. So what this did, if your name is false, well, my name is Ben, this is false. It's okay, but we've got this OR operator right after it, so let's keep going. Are you Jane? Yes, you're Jane, so this is true. So then it keeps going. Does the result is programmer. So this is an important thing. It's referred to as Boolean algebra. It's when you are, combining multiple Booleans to result in a single Boolean. So this is basically computing, okay, this is false and this is true. So what's the result? It's going to be true. So this isn't actual code, but just to illustrate, we've got question mark equals, true or false. So if, with an OR, if either of these things are true, then the whole thing is true. But if both of these things are false, then the whole thing is false and it becomes false. Now you can tack on as many of these things as you want, and this will get, if this is true, then the whole thing is true. If one of these things down here is true, so this is false, let's keep going. False, keep going. True, okay. There's something that's true here. This becomes true. So you can do that. The other option, which is also, instead of OR, you could do AND. So two ampersands is an AND. So this means that both of these things have to be true, right? So this is true, and this is true. Then this becomes true. But if this is false, it doesn't matter. It's going to go straight to false, right? Because both of these things need to be true. This and this need to be true in order to be true. We can show that here. Right here, we've been using R. Let's change it to AND, two ampersands. Save. Now refresh. My name is Ben. you're something awesomer than a programmer. Because even though my name is Ben, this equates to true. My name is not Jane, so this equates to false. So the whole thing is false, and it skips this whole little thing here. So what can we do with that? Well, let's do var age equals prompt. What is your age? And we'll just reuse this variable here, equals number age. So this converts it to age. So let's say if your name is Ben and your age is equal to 34, then your job is instructor of this thing. Okay. So if both of these things are true, then this is going to happen. Otherwise, it's going to return something else. We'll save that and refresh. What's your name? My name is Ben, and I'm 34. Okay. Job is instructor of this thing, which is correct because my name is Ben and I'm 34. So what if your name is Jane and you're 34? Okay. Something awesomer, because even though your age is 34, we have this and here, and your name has to be Ben and you have to be 34 for this to work. Same thing with name. If your name is Ben, but your age is 37, it's me from the future. Something awesomer. I'm not just the instructor. My age is 37, which is not 34. So I hope that makes sense. We can change this back to or. And this will allow anyone whose name is Ben to be the instructor and allow anyone who's 34 to be the instructor. We'll save that, refresh. What's your name, Ben? Age is 39. Well, you're the instructor because your name is Ben. Refresh. Okay, what about your name? It's Jane. Your age is 34. Okay, you're the instructor because your name is not Jane, but your age is 34. Because we have an or in the middle, this whole thing becomes true, and it does what's inside. So it's a little bit more advanced. The important thing to remember here is that you can control the flow of the program so that you only do some things based on other things. It lets you do some branching. And you can do all kinds of complex stuff in these ifs and else ifs and all of these things. See, 56-year-old Jane is not instructor. Okay, I hope that makes sense. There's a few other concepts regarding Booleans in JavaScript. You might read about things referred to as truthiness and falsiness. And what that means is that even though a Boolean can only be true or false, ifs and these operators will treat other values as if they were true or false. The thing to remember is that falsy value, false, of course. 0 is falsy. An empty string is also falsy. Special values, null is falsy. Undefined is falsy. So all of these things are falsy, and there's a few more. But anything that is falsy will evaluate as false. As far as the truthy value, anything that is not falsy automatically becomes truthy. So truthy values. Truthy value, if this is truthy, this is going to be true. It's going to equate to true. And we'll save that. So the truthy value we're looking at is something. So if this is truthy, if it's true, then the result will be truthy. Otherwise, it'll be falsy. Let's see. Fresh. Oh, forgot this guy. Truthy, because the value is truthy. Let's use name as the example here. So name. Okay. So let's see. Fresh. If your name is truthy, it's truthy. If your name is Ben, it's truthy. If you don't put anything, it's falsy, because nothing is undefined. It's just nothing. And that's a falsy value. Let's try. Another example would be age. Let's try. Number, age, and then we'll check for the truthiness of the age. So this is more complex. If you don't get this part, that's okay. It'll come back to haunt you later, but that's okay. So we'll check age. So refresh. So if your age is 12, you're truthy. If your age is truthy. If you don't put anything, it's falsy because it's undefined. If your age is 0, it's also falsy because this changes age into a number of 0, and the number 0 is falsy, so this is falsy, and it shortcuts down to the else. Okay. And what if we put something else in here? This is also falsy, because if you remember last time, we talked about if you put something other than a number through number, it becomes nan, if you remember that. I'll do age plus truthy. Age plus falsy. Okay, save, refresh. Your age, nan, because it's not a number, it's falsy. Your age, nothing. 0 is falsy, because if you put nothing, it becomes an empty string. So let's take this out and not convert. Here's something to keep in mind, that even though the number 0 is falsy, your age as a string might be 0, and that's truthy, because the string 0 is truthy. The number 0 is falsy. So 0 is truthy, but the string 0 is truthy. Empty string, that's falsy. We can do just not put anything, and it's falsy because it's an empty string. I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you know, a lot of things in here, it makes sense if you don't think about it too hard, or if you think about it way too hard. But don't get hung up on it too much. Just for now, just remember that if is true, it'll do what's inside the block. If it's false, it won't do what's inside the block. That's the main thing here. So I hope this was informational, and I'll see you next time, when I think we'll talk briefly about loops. The most common loop is a for loop, and I'll talk about that, and we'll see what we can do with for loops. Thanks for watching.